Podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts Radio Network. KingofPodcasts.com.
I don't know that I ever have dreams that go that long.
Woo! Hey, this is the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And believe it or not, whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it. Because you have to listen to Wrestling is Real. It is the best thing going today. Woo!
The worldwide leader of podcasting excellence. The King of Podcasts Radio Network proudly presents The Wrestling is Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.
This is episode 967 of the Wrestling is Real podcast. King of Podcasts here with you, following AEW WrestleDream in St. Louis, not far from the Chase and the gateway to the West. So tonight's pay-per-view, when you're thinking about, we're coming back to WrestleDream now. Again, we just finished up a pay-per-view prior to, and I'm saying All Out was not that long ago. To go and come back into this now is a bit much. All Out was very good. All In was very good. This is one of those where I feel like we didn't necessarily need WrestleDream to be here to lead us into Full Gear. I actually prefer if AEW would go ahead and do something with this WrestleDream show if it did not have to be here, because of the fact that I want that time apart between now and Full Gear. Because as we have it now, Full Gear again is about 4 weeks from now, but it's a lot, and I don't want it to be that far ahead, because you can kind of tell this was a B pay-per-view. It was the memorial show for Antonio Inoki. We know. And is this something that they should go and continue to do regularly in America to continue to go through this forward? I guess so. But I feel like if there was some other way to go and do this where, I don't know, if this felt more, I don't know what you do with it. The thing is, it's an important thing that they're doing. I understand there's a distinction behind it. But for me, it's like, I'm just trying to figure out something here that's going to make me feel good about this event because of the rush they had to go and do between All Out, All In, and WrestleDream to get matches set together. It's a lot. And that is part of what AEW suffers from when they have these pay-per-views go so close together. Because normally they're not always so close together, but it is a little bit towards the end of the year. It's a bit much. And then remember, when we get to Full Gear, then we have World's End. And World's End is not that much farther away. It's another 4 weeks away. The 4-week format for them, it is better when they had it at 4 or 6 pay-per-views. I know they're at like 10 now, but it's a bit much. I wish it wasn't so many all year, because they just do so much. Because remember, let's just go into it like this, all right? We're looking at pay-per-views across the board. Wrestle Dynasty was January 5th. But that was a show that went along with... That was the show that they did, of course, with New Japan. But their first show coming off of everything, there's that long lull at March 9th for Revolution, Then Dynasty a month later. Double or Nothing a month later. Or about 6 weeks later. Maybe more than that. All right. Let's say 8 weeks later. Then we get to All In, which they gave us almost about a 2.5 month time to get set for that. Then you have that longer lull, about 6 weeks for Forbidden Door. And then All Out comes WrestleDream, and they're all in that 4-week format, more or less. It's a bit much. It's overwhelming. And I think that's the part where I'd like to go and see that shorten up, but I don't know what they're going to do with that. I know it's important, but it's like with WrestleDream, that's a show now that is so much consumed with their own deal of stars, and it's not one of those where it's like Forbidden Door, which at least when you have Forbidden Door, it is an event where you're including New Japan, and it's a much different feel to it. So there's that in between of all that. Forbidden Door, WrestleDream are two of the shows that I feel like when they're putting in the effort to it, it would be nice to go and see it where they have other promotions being part of this. So for WrestleDream, I'd like to see if it was actually put with somebody else. Because here, they put up matches together and get them ready, and to get the storylines up, there's just so much that they're going to cover. And they're 4 hours of programming to get to that point. And they set up the show. Don't get me wrong. The show was done. It was completed. And to me, just some of the matches that we had, it was like a very good edition of Dynamite for about 2 hours. For a show that, once again, went till, 12:30 at night. We got the 12:30 a.m. from 8 o'clock. And that's if you're also watching the Tailgate Brawl, 0 hour event. There's a lot of matches. To me, there's a couple of things you can do. If you're committed to this pay-per-view like this here, this is where you treat this like a pay-per-view that doesn't need to be so packed. Because AEW does have that reputation for that. Scale it down. Like this, and maybe another show, you don't put necessarily, 8 matches on the card. Make it 6 or 7, or just do something where, you just shorten it down. Because it is a bit much. I don't want 5 matches in 2 hours. That's not enough. But there's a couple of matches that could have been tabled over to another show. When I look at the start of the night, Jamie Hayter and Thekla, I get they get the pay-per-view time. They got 15 minutes in here. Awesome for them. But I don't know if there was so much there to tell me, okay, Jamie Hayter's back. Great to see her back here, but to go into this feature feud, I can understand that here, but, I don't know if there was that much that was really done that made me pay attention. It was, for the most part, wasn't it really Collision that really featured most of that storyline? So it's a bit much for the Collision storylines to really get me invested into these matches, because I'm consumed with college football. Even tonight, to try to watch WrestleDream, I was watching, my alma mater playing against South Florida Atlantic, and they got roasted tonight, but that's another point. But I actually had that on while I was watching WrestleDream, and it was a bit much. So, I don't know, it's one of those things where I could have done with a little bit less. Well, the less is more aspect could have been a little bit here. But again, this is what Tony Khan's going to do. And I think the format he's going to stick with is, it doesn't matter to me about what he's going to do. He's going to do what he's going to do and make the change. Fine. So Jurassic Express, the Young Bucks storyline, of course, they made the point where Jack Perry's back now to confront Young Bucks. And then there's a whole setup of, where we see Don Callis Family now coming in, Young Bucks being involved, and the whole split up. But the thing is that Young Bucks were, hurting him money because he needed that $500,000 cash prize. They made a reason for it, which was pretty cool. They only said the cash prize for a match or whatever. But then you had where the Young Bucks finally explained that they're strapped without the petty cash of being EVPs anymore. So they have that going on. That storyline continues. That's fine. Hurt Syndicate at Demand, World Trios title. Oh, number 1 contender, excuse me. So Hurt Syndicate wins. They'll move on. They'll take on, and that's all there is. That. Then you got Kyle Fletcher. I think after that Hurt Syndicate Demand match, I must say this too. When it comes to Ricochet and his use right now, why do I feel like the Gates of Agony are the best booked Samoans right now? Jacob Fatu is hurt. And we don't know how hurt he is. There's nothing being said about it, but one report from Bodyslam.net says he might be out the rest of the year. We don't know yet. But then again, they took him out in the injury storyline, and he's been out for a while. And they're saying something about being a dental thing. I don't know what they're talking about. But it's a shame to see Jacob Fatu not on television without an explanation why. So they just decided to go and do what they did with the MFTs and whatever. Because he's been out for a while. Now he's back for like a little bit, and then he's out again. It doesn't make any sense. But that's, let's not go too WWE-centric on this show tonight, okay? I'm going to keep it short. I got to get to bed soon. Now, what I will say, Kyle Fletcher, Mark Briscoe, you put those guys out for TNT title, 25 minutes. Great match. And it's amazing. And they were talking about that in commentary about Mark Briscoe and his singles run and how well he has really stood out for himself. He was always pretty good as singles wrestler. But to be in the spotlight like he's been after the Ring of Honor World title reign, and then being here and just being the stalwart here that's just so good at all this, man. Kyle Fletcher, again, looks like a megastar. And he is easily one of the new pillars right now that is, it's just a matter of time after this TNT title reign that he will be into the main event picture. Because now that they have the deal where it's either Adam Page or Swerve Strickland or MJF, in that particular realm they have right now, just outside of that is Kyle Fletcher. He is in that realm. It's just a matter of time before they put him strictly the main event. He's in a bit of a main event storyline because of the Don Callis family, but somewhere, somehow, he's going to be in that spot. And let me tell you, with the help of Don Callis, I think he's helped a lot of people on that group. The Alpha Konosuke Takeshita, another great example. For me, it's about Kyle Fletcher here, and then there's much more that Kyle Fletcher has to do where he has several feuds of people that he's already kind of burned in the process that he has to go and take on at some point. We'll see, various things that'll happen with Kyle Fletcher. We'll see him come back into the picture for him before we get down the line and get him into an AEW World Title feud, because that's coming. It's just a matter of time. But there's a lot you could keep doing with Kyle Fletcher where you keep him as a heel under the Don Callis banner, and then a split comes. I'll say that Will Ospreay will probably have something to do with it, and then Kyle Fletcher will split off. But this right now is the build where he is just international star. Put him in New Japan, put him here, wherever. He is just rocking right now. He is the biggest upside of anybody right now in AEW, period, at this point. Chris Statlander with a strong win over Tony Storm. Because with Tony Storm, it's important to have that match here. And for Chris Statlander to just say, okay, it wasn't just the fact that she won the match over Tony Storm. Now she gets it here and now solidifies. And Chris Statlander's already been TBS champ. So to bring her back over to here and the evolution of her character up to this point and the importance of her over all these years now and seeing where she is now, it's great for her. She's been fantastic. It's a great spot for her to be. And it's, something to be said about long-term booking and long-term development of stars they have in there and how they're being brought up to the forefront after so many years out there. Now, people are going to obviously crap on Mercedes Moné, and now she has 11 titles, the interim Ring of Honor Women's World TV title, an open challenge, Mina Shirakawa, and Moné now has 11 belts. Okay, but the belt collector. Austin Aries did that before, but nobody said anything about him with that. But with Mercedes Moné right now, their deal is let's put as many belts as we can on her, and then they will start going away. But she's still at a good spot right now. Now, Ultimo Monet, that's amazing. But I think for her, it's a matter of that she is that star right now that is being booked all over the place. And representing AEW, she's in a best light right now. It's just that maybe it's not so much where the fans are going to be so much, overjoyed that she has all these titles. It's because of the fact that she is like that NWA champion back in the day. She's being called upon to work in so many different companies. Now, for the fact that all these companies were willing to go and put those belts on her, CMLL, Defiant, wherever else she's been at, awesome. And she's been doing a great job. And now she's going after Chris Statlander's belt. Let's go for 12. I get it. But at the moment, she is in the old school realm of being one of those people that are champions. It's just that back in the day, they never made a whole big deal about all these different titles that all these people had. Like, it was always about, okay, NWA World Champion, and then it's like, okay, Ric Flair might be here, might have other titles, whatever, Harley Race, whatever. But it's like, this is where other promotions, they want the draw that Mercedes Moné brings, because maybe it's not so much the AEW, you would think, because there's other people on that roster, but for other companies, if they can get Mercedes Moné to go work for them, they'll do it. And somewhere down the line, that's going to happen. So we'll see if they're actually going to go to full gear and go title versus title. I don't know if they're going to do that yet. I don't think you need to go and do that. For either side, there's still other opponents for them. I mean, there's always a plethora of opponents that can be built up on either side of these women's titles for AEW. That's pretty obvious. There's a lot of talent in there. And the way this is done, people can get seasoned up and really brought up quickly. I mean, hell, look at Samoa Joe. Elevates back up to the world title feud. We'll talk about that in a moment. But anyway, Brodito, Don Callis Family, and Brodito wins. And Okada gets pinned. And now we know that that Bandito and Okada are going to face each other. And the Unified Championship is going to be on the line coming up. That's going to be all set up. So, Okada playing nice, man. I didn't realize it was going to happen here, but yeah. Okada and Takeshita here as a tag team, it's formidable. I actually thought they were going to win the World Tag Team titles, but no. But had a great match, nevertheless. Still a lot of good, and then also just keep that together. And, at some point, Okada and Takeshita will once again have some kind of odds with each other, I think. We'll have something there somewhere down the line. Adam Page does get the win on Samoa Joe, but Samoa Joe turns heel with the ops and takes him out, which, I'm glad to not see the respect thing. And then I guess Samoa Joe and Adam Page will continue their feud. If that's what they're going to do, fine. Samoa Joe is always a stand out here to go and be wherever he wants to be here in this feud. So he's always working well as a heel. He enjoys it. You can just tell. Like, just turning back into a heel must have been just like a comfort level for him. So he feels good in this spot. This is where his role is. And Adam Page, to have him here with an opponent like him, I like it. I'm always okay with Samoa Joe being in this part. And the continuation of Darby Allin and building him back up now after being away, being in Mount Everest and whatever other injuries he had to go and sustain and recover from. Quite an I Quit match they put on tonight. So I was surprised to see the aquarium. That's a first. And the aquarium being brought in to go and do water torture, waterboarding. Didn't expect that. That's a topper. That was a surprise to go and do that. I'd figure other companies might not go and do that thing right there, but they did. And the aquarium thing was actually a good move because of the fact that it had to have up there, where Darby was stuck, but then the power of Sting and Stinger coming back and people all over it, and Sting looking really old now, and very old and wise, whatever. It's like, like the Jedi coming back, And here he goes. And Darby Allin just got the power of Sting in him, and that was it. And Moxley's out. Kind of interesting where they just went with the full Sting move, and then that was all that needed to happen with the Scorpion Deathlock, to get Jon Moxley to go and tap out. I thought it was kind of interesting to go that route. It wasn't something more severe that was going to take out Jon Moxley, but I guess that was enough. But it was quite gruesome. The finger stuff, the skewers, damn, something else, man. Something else about all that. There's a lot more to bring up that's going to be coming around that I need to go and talk about, which is where the creative process is going right now. A lot of changes coming up when it comes to WWE, it looks like. Apparently, call-ups from NXT to SmackDown are going to be taking place sooner rather than later. I saw Sol Ruka and Zarya together in a tag team to go work. So Sol Ruka's already up that way. And more will be coming up. We haven't even talked about the fact that WWE now has a new Senior Director of Creative Strategy focusing on AI-based storytelling and AI integration. I will table that for Wednesday's show because there's a lot more to say about that. And that was all I'll talk about. Well, I want to go and wait for all that and come to it a little bit later. I saw the video this week about Stephanie Fakir getting ready to go and do her entrance, and she was practicing it with Triple H. And there's something here, just like Triple H is feeling like off, getting so involved in this right here, and just feeling like, okay, why do I feel like Triple H is like, if he hasn't tried to have an affair with Stephanie Fakir, I could believe it. Something about that. There's something there that feels, I don't know. I just feel like there's something there where Triple H is in this mix, and it's like, I don't know. There's something there's about this, about the attention to detail about it. And there's a lot more to go and talk about. So Nick Khan says he believes fans will travel to Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania. And then that WWE is reportedly posting a better churn rate than other live sports for Netflix. So they're getting the most sports buzz on Netflix than anything else. And Media Post and Wade Friedman said that Subscribers that join Netflix or Raw say subscribe at a much higher rate than one-off sporting events like Netflix's Mike Tyson Jake Paul bout or the NFL Christmas Day games. Yeah. So it's as simple as one thing is weekly to give you a reason to go and stick around, and then one-offs. I mean, even HBO learned about that. I was reading a book and I only got to some point and then I just stopped, where, HBO has subscribers for events, and then he started doing regular series to get more people to watch and to binge it. So that's a different story. So like I said, there's going to be a lot more to go and bring up on the program next week. So why am I going to go and, bluster around for another few hours on this? So we're just going to just leave it right here. That's WrestleDream. Kind of flat to me. 3 or 4 matches that really mattered. That's how I felt about it. So come back this week, coming up, for the Wrestling Gets Real podcast, because wrestling needs us.